Welcome in, everybody. Thank you first and foremost to everyone who listens to this episode or maybe even shares this episode. I just want to first extend my gratitude to you for supporting what the Lord is doing on this platform and in this season. I think this first episode, I really wanted it to be exactly what God is intending it to be. And that is purposefully restoring things that have been lost, things that have died, things that have been stolen, things that have been hidden, things that have been abandoned, and really embodying what the life of Jesus meant. And it meant purposeful restoration to all of us. And so I want to invite you in. I want to invite you in to the Purposely Restored Corner. And I want to say, welcome. Welcome to the spot. Okay. Welcome to the spot. All right. I know I was going back and forth and putting this pressure on myself to, turn the camera on and do all of that because, that's where the podcasting scene has been lately, has been cameras on, and I actually learned that that's technically vodcasting, which makes sense, right? But there's something different about just having the space, no cameras, no setups, no having to make eye contact and pressures. There's something about just the intimacy of audio podcasting. And even with simply getting back to that, it was God purposely restoring my passion for what God is calling me to as far as speaking and this platform, podcasting. And it's not to say that I won't record some of my podcasting episodes because I definitely plan to, but I believe that even with that, the Lord is revealing strategy so that it remains intimate and real, and authentic. And so, with today being the first episode, I just really want to set the tone of this podcast and just really like chop it up with y'all for real. I feel like when I was doing podcasting before, because there was still restoration that needed to happen on the inside of me, the way I showed up in past episodes, which I am not deleting because it's all a part of the journey. Um, I just don't think I was fully authentically me. And it wasn't on purpose. I was authentic to who I was in that season. But as I sit here recording this now, and even the prayer, I was, praying to the Lord before pressing record. I'm praying that He makes this episode like no other episode I recorded because truly I am in such a different place. And so, who is purposely restored for? Let me tell you, purposely restored is for those who have experienced hardship, those who have experienced loss, those who have experienced abandonment, trauma, pain, disappointment, betrayal, those who feel lost, those who don't really know about Jesus and what the hype is all about. Purposely restored is for those who are looking for purpose and wondering why are they here on this earth. Purposely restored is for those who've struggled with suicide and depression. Purposely restored is for those who may have struggled with other kinds of mental health diagnoses, or even physical diagnoses that limit their ability in their day to day life. Purposely Restored is for the mom who deals with kids that are unruly or maybe have a disability. Purposely Restored is for those who have made many mistakes in their life and it has damaged them in ways unspeakable. And they're wondering, how do I be healed? How can I truly be what Christ is calling me to be? It seems impossible. This is who Purposely Restored is for. Purposely Restored is for the lost sheep, the one who wandered away from home and they can't figure out how to return back. Purposely Restored is for those who can't quite put their feelings and their experiences into words, but they are yearning for a space where someone else can articulate and understand what they're saying. And it's like, man, you get it. And really be able to connect and build community. Purposely Restored is the space where we talk real, where we are truly restored in the depths of our soul and in our spirit. It is about us putting ourselves back into the hands of the potter and watching him create an amazing masterpiece that no one else could ever imagine or think of. No one else could tell us how to do. It is about us letting the potter be the potter and we finally be the clay. And now I know, I know. For many of us, that's a big pill to swallow. That's a lot to ask. Because you're telling me, Jajara, to relinquish control. You're telling me to let go. And see, I've had moments in my life where I let go before, Jajara, and guess what? I was hurt. I was betrayed. I was taken advantage of. Matter of fact, control is the only safety that some of us know. In the midst of chaos, grasping control of the little things that we can control has become how we survived. But listen, my friend, I've learned that being in control only limits what God has. There's so much more inside of you and me that we can't even fathom because of the things that are blocking us, that God is stripping and wanting to strip us of. That control being relinquished to God is how we become purposely restored. So I implore you to take this leap of faith with me and put yourself in the hands of the potter and let him create the one that he has had in mind. You know, in Jeremiah, it talks about the clay and the potter, and I'm paraphrasing, it talks about the fact that, you know, the potter created the vessel, but it hadn't turned out how he'd hoped. So he broke it all down and he started over. And then the Lord replied and said, "Isn't Israel like the clay in my hands?" And when we really think about that, the Lord is saying, first of all, what's too hard for me? Second of all, can I not make you over? Wow. Can I not purposely restore you? Because even though I have shown you your wicked ways, or even though I have shown you what I don't like or what is harming you or what is not of me, God isn't going to leave us in that space. No, no. He has a plan for us to prosper us, not to harm us. He wants us to be cheerful and living an abundant life and to know who we are and operate in authority and take this life by the throat, okay? And do what we've been put here to do in this life and then live out eternity ruling with Him. But when you can't get through the day because your mind is overcrowded with doubt and low self esteem and questioning your abilities and who you are and why you're here and if you're enough, if you're a good parent, if you're deserving, traumas replaying in your mind from childhood and maybe from even adulthood where there may have been assaults, there may have been loss of that one who really believed in you or was there for you. Those things tend to keep us from focusing on the true prize that brings so much liberty, and that's the Spirit of Christ. And so, as I was like driving home and thinking about this episode and asking the Lord, like, what am I going to talk about? Like, where do I start, God? Wasn't able to come up with a script. Like, it just wasn't flowing. I'm like, man, Lord, like, what we going to do here? The time is here now. And I remember the Lord said something that blew my mind. And He brought up the gospel and He said, is not what I did on the cross purposely restored. Mm, mm, mm. My God, y'all, I'm trying to tell you. I was like, wow. It was so good to taste of the Lord in that moment because I thought about it and it truly was. If you don't know the gospel, very simple. Okay. We made mankind, okay, made a decision through our free will that opened our eyes to sin. So we were all born into sin. We all have this sinful nature. And because of that decision, it separated us from God. But God had a plan of redemption to purposely restore the connection that had been broken, to purposely restore us despite the enemy's plan to contaminate us with shame and sin and doubt and all the other things that sin breeds, to start his master plan for us to be banned from heaven just as he is. God had a plan for us so that we can be purposely restored. And so Yeshua, aka Jesus of Nazareth, steps on the scene and he puts on this human nature, this sinful nature, but was without sin. And he showed us how to walk out a purposely restored life and died on the cross, purposely restoring us back to him. And I was like, wow, God, wow, that is something. That is something. That is really something. You truly are the author and the finisher of our faith. You are truly the one. Okay. There is no other. And so there is so many angles I could come at when it's biblically, when we're talking about purposely restored. But when we think about the cross and sometimes walking with God or choosing God, the hardest thing, the one thing that makes people afraid to say yes to God is because they're focused on the change. How am I going to become this person without sin? How am I going to live that life? It sounds good, but I don't think I can achieve that. And you know what's crazy? God never told you that you were in charge of the change. He never told you that. But you are in charge of your yes. You are in charge of your yes that leads to obedience. And obedience is better than sacrifice. And let me tell you something. When you say yes to the Lord and you focus on being obedient to where he leads you and you focus on submitting to him, everything will begin to fall off in due season. Deliverance he will bring you into. He will change you. He will keep you. If you continue to say yes and let your yes take you deeper. This isn't a magic trick. This isn't Houdini. I'm not, selling witchcraft or hocus pocus or anything crazy like that. I'm just going to give you the real. I'm just going to give you the real. God has been bringing me out, y'all. Bringing me out, rectifying the parts of me that I wasn't sure could be rectified, quite frankly. So much so, I struggled with depression and suicide most of my life. That spirit oppressed me for a very long time. Death was attached to me for a long time. And I kept trying to take my life and was unsuccessful. Oh, but wait, there's more. There's so much childhood trauma that I don't even speak on. There's so much trauma coming from a broken home that I won't dare touch on. Even going through bullying with school. There's so many broken pieces from suffering with abandonment, betrayal, molestation, my innocence being tainted, word curses. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And so when we step into the purposely restored corner, this is nothing fake. This is nothing, this is nothing to play with. Like, we're going to have some real conversations and we're going to really talk about some real things and really really be restored. Um and not just from my life and my perspective, but I plan to have conversations with other people as well as the Lord calls forth, and let those people testify from a space of restoration and faith and purpose, and being able to share these different aspects so that we all may operate at a higher level of restoration for purpose, because broken pieces are of no use except for cutting. Mm. Broken pieces are of no use except for cutting. And then we wonder how we're cutting everything we touch, how we're severing good, healthy ties, how we're harming other people, how things aren't able to last. I mean, you're broken and you need restoration. At some point, we have to truly believe what God said, that He is a healer and He's a redeemer. And it doesn't matter how long it may take, He's going to do it. And so, on this journey, and it's been one, God has even recently, you know, not delivered, but, I gave over to Him bitterness that ended up settling in because of how long I feel my journey, quote unquote, has been being single and living my life for Christ while watching other people get married and, families growing and so forth. Right. And, with the recent restoration that happened for me and a lot of the things that the Lord has been speaking for me, what God is doing with this podcast and my ministry and where I'm at in life, I'm just seeing how my setup is purposeful. It's purposeful. And for me, it might take 7 some odd years. And for someone else, he might do it in 3. He might do it in 4. He might do it in 1. He might plan to do it with the spouse and utilize that spouse. But for me, he wanted to be the one to handle a lot of things and also down to the core. And I think sometimes we underestimate the unraveling, the unwounding. There's so much that is wound up in us from pain and trauma, and that creates vulnerabilities to the enemy. And so many of us don't understand the agenda of the enemy and how low he will go to get you to be defeated. Like nothing is off limits for him unless you and God say so. Okay. Nothing's off limits, but he's looking for you to give access. And so, us being purposely restored, we're restored in our authority, in true power, in true control. Because in God, in the kingdom, control looks a lot different than in the world as a trauma response. So many of us have trauma responses as our defense and not God responses as our defense. So many of us have picked up the wrong weapons and we're wondering why we're still bound to certain addictions or sexualities or pornography or fornication. And the enemy just keeps on sowing more and more threads to get you in, to keep you there, to steal and kill and destroy the purpose on the inside of you so you won't deliver anyone else, so you won't be heard to edify the kingdom, so you won't come up against his kingdom and make it fall. But listen, my friend, I say no more. I say I'm coming to set the captives free. I say, you can call me Harriet Tubman in the spirit because, Lord, wherever you send me, I'm bringing the slaves out of these chains. Now, if you want to stay with your master of the kingdom of darkness and let him keep you, I'm going to shake the dust from my feet. This ain't for you, but I'm going to do what God has called me to do. I'm going to come in the camp and I'm going to give you the truth. And I'm going to tell you that there's a freedom you know not of, but come with me and you're going to experience it. And if you decide to take that invitation, then liberty is going to be yours. But again, you have to accept that invitation. You have to say yes because nobody's going to force you. It's time out for people looking at the church as gangsters that's snatching people up and forcing the Bible down their throat or being the quote unquote police. But you better be straight that we are some warriors and we are some soldiers and we're not no punks in the spirit. So if you don't like the warnings that we're giving you so you can be free, that's not my problem. Because like I said, I'm going to be like Harriet and not experience some liberty. And I'm going to tell people, hey, on this side, it's some freedom you know not of. And these masters are telling you you still in slavery and you not. Slavery is done. We in Black History Month. Ain't that crazy? Come on, Jesus. Slavery is done. So let's break that slavery mindset off of you and get you out of this brainwashing system that makes you think you're still a slave and you're not. And for those that want to say that's what religion is, fine, keep you in your religion. But over here, here, I have a pure religion. And this pure religion is what helps me to feed the orphans. This pure religion, as the Bible says, is what keeps me righteous before the Lord. This pure religion is a relationship with the Most High God, and it moves things. It causes demons to flee. My bloodline is shifting. I have been broken off of, hallelujah, depression, suicide, smoking marijuana, alcohol, sex. I've seen some things with this religion, with this relationship, and I haven't lost anything. I've gained freedom. I've gained joy and peace. And when I tell you, I used to be an overthinker, my mind would not stop going. I was not at peace. And I have a peace to my mind. You can't tell me nothing about me and my God over here and how me and my family moving in the kingdom every week. When I join and link up with them, I feel and see the power of God. So, your religion may be that, but this one I'm talking about over here, these them papers that you can show to the enemy and say, "No, I'm a free. I'm free. I ain't no slave. You can't take me back into no change. You can't hold me captive. And matter of fact, I got something for you because you can't even check me. The level who I come with, his name is Jesus, and it's some authority, and I can tell you to get under my feet. I'm telling y'all, I'm coming to set the captives free. And not only set the captives free, I'm coming to set fire in the camps. I'm coming to set people on fire, that there shall be a boldness that breaks out in cities and countries. I'm coming to do something that maybe it's never been done before, but there's nothing new under the sun. So I don't want to say never been done before, but God is going to do something new in my ministry. Okay. It is going to be peculiar to what he's calling me and my oil. And I'm gonna stay in my lane, but I'm gonna connect with others. I'm not saying stay in my lane where I'm not connecting, but because this is as one of my teammates on dad says, this is togetherness, okay? This ain't no I'm trying to get up and be on my own. No, I am moving how God is calling me to move. This is about building community and pulling other people up into the kingdom, setting people free and on fire. On fire. I remember the Lord told me that I was the blue part of the flame. And it's so interesting because as I sit in my purposely restored corner, my sign is blue. And the blue part of a flame is the hottest part of the flame. And so there's no way that if you touch that part, you will not be burned. And I believe in the consuming fire of the Lord. And that consuming fire burns away everything that's not like him. And it's literally, unlike when we get burned in the world and we're hurt, this burn is a hurt that feels so good because you wake up free. You operate free. It's a boldness that cannot be touched. I cannot wait to share with y'all some of the things the Lord has walked me through as he begins to just turn this mic on and we flow and we, just chat and talk. And I believe he's going to give me different things to, you know, really touch y'all because I know I'm not the only one. And sometimes we need to hear this. Sometimes we need to know we're not the only one. And we need to see that there is freedom and hear somebody who's been on the other side and hear what they've been through. How did they overcome masturbation? How did they overcome smoking weed? How did they overcome being, addicted to alcohol? How did they become being addicted to sex because they were molested or raped? How did they overcome bullying or word curses that still permeate in their mind? How did they overcome being maybe avoidant, disassociating from reality? How did they overcome all these things? How? Help me. Help me. That's a lot of times what we're saying. Help me. I need help. So over here in this family, it's going down. Okay. uh it's all about allowing ourselves to be that clay once again, and realizing that God already died for us. That's the purposely restored right there. He purposely restored our connection to him. And it's such a beautiful thing. None like it. And so now it's just about us embracing what's already ours. So if you are still listening at the end of this episode, thank I hope you enjoy it. I hope that you got something from it. I hope that you are clicking that subscribe button or follow button or whatever right now. Okay. I hope you're going to comment on this episode and tell me what you think about it. Please let me get some feedback. Comment, follow me on Instagram, purposely restored, and make sure you blow our page up, share our page so that it can get out there and more people can be able to connect with this podcast and be changed and restored. For those that don't know, I'm also a therapist. And so I am a licensed master social worker. I'll be a licensed clinical social worker soon before the year is out. And so, some of my ideals as well, the Lord has used that field for my ministry, along with, obviously the spiritual anointing that He's given me. And so some of my episodes will touch on both things, the mental health side as well, and it'll just be ingrained in what I'm talking about. And there'll be tips and there'll be different things I'll throw out there, and everything be so, when we're talking restoration, it really is on a soul level of our minds and our bodies and our emotions. And so I'm excited to do that. So again, if you made it to the end, please, please, please make sure that you let me know what you think about this. I thank you again for tuning in. And I know that this is new, so you notice we didn't have an intro and we're not gonna have an outro yet. I am gonna work on it and pray on it. I want to make sure that it is unique to this new season and what God is doing with this podcast. So I'm just not gonna rush it, and so we're just gonna free flow accordingly. You heard me? Okay, so I'm going to just be the intro until we get an intro and outro. And I believe the Lord will do that very soon. But as of this episode, we're just coming in raw and we're leaving out raw. I love y'all so much. Be purposely restored. And I will catch y'all next time. Uploads will be on Fridays. Right now, we're looking at every other week, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be every week. So tune in for Fridays. And if you want to get notified, you can also join my email list, and that's at Glow Unplugged. And it will always notify you when a new episode drops. All right, y'all. Peace.